Welcome back to the PAC Sports Network for our halftime show. We're at the break between Westminster and W&J, and we're now joined by the head coach for W&J women's basketball, Coach Jina DeRubbo. Coach, first off, thanks so much for joining us as always today. Want to dive right into how this season has been for you and the team. How have things been up to this point for you guys?
Yeah, it's been kind of up and down. We've got a new core of people. You know, we lost a lot last year, and it's kind of working them through new roles for some people. And so we've been a little bit inconsistent, but when we're good, we're really good. And when we're not, we're just not. So it's kind of up and down right now. Still, and we hit a spurt where we were putting games together, but a little bit inconsistent still.
Well, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the season because you guys had a really tough non-conference schedule. You actually played a ranked Ohio Wesleyan team right before the depths of the PAC play. How
Right.
do you feel that game kind of prepared your team for the rigors of conference play?
Yeah, I mean, we've played a really tough non-conference schedule intentionally. And that game was closer than the score indicated. We were winning most of that game and had like a 3-minute spurt where we fell apart. But I think those non-conference games are critical and just in getting it kind of battle tested and see where you're at and what you need to work on. And some of those really good games we lost, and I felt bad about because I thought we should have won. But there were a couple losses where you're like, okay, you know, they're better at this point in the season. So you kind of try to learn from it and keep getting better.
Well, you mentioned the group that you have this year, a little bit different, but there are some key returners. Obviously, your daughter Riley, and then you also throw in Stelany Lucian in the mix. Really looks like those two have started to mesh together nicely on the floor. How have you noticed those two kind of grow together on the hardwood and really start to kind of complement one another?
Yeah, they're both really good at different things, which is a plus. And learning to play together. You know, Riley, a late addition to this team, and Stella playing years without her. So I think as the season has continued to go, they're really kind of recognizing what each of their strengths are and trying to play to those strengths. So if they're both clicking on the same day, we're really hard to beat.
How have you noticed those two really kind of take it upon themselves to be the leaders this year with so much of the turnover from graduation from last year?
Yeah. Well, you know, we spend a lot of time talking about leadership and what that looks like. Neither one of them are really outwardly verbal leaders. You know, there's not that kid that we had last year that's going to grab somebody by the jersey and say, let's go. They both kind of lead by example. Um, so we need to get them to be one of them anyway, to be a little bit more verbal in how they lead. So I still think that's evolving a little bit because neither one of them had leadership roles, you know, in the past because we had such a strong group that just left last year.
Well, the leader defensively, I feel this year has been Katie Kowalczyk for you. She's been a great presence down low, especially. How impactful has she been on that side of the floor?
Yeah, I mean, her size makes it just difficult in general, right? She moves pretty well. Um, so, you know, if our guards get beat out front, we've always got this big presence down low to help kind of block shots or change shots if she's not blocking shots. So that's kind of a safety net for your guards when you have that, you know, down low. You get a little bit more freedom and some chances that you can take on the perimeter.
Well, Coach, you certainly have the makings for another great season to make another big time run. And before we let you run, I want to hear from you. You hear so much about how hard it is for teams to repeat as champions. But for this year's iteration of W&J women's basketball, what do you think it will be that can get you guys back to that mountaintop and eventually be back-to-back champions?
Yeah, it is hard, you know, and we're in the hardest part of the season. I feel like we've talked about recently, just kind of gotten this stretch out. And I think for us, the biggest thing to win a championship is to be more consistent. And hopefully, you know, in years past, we haven't always been climbing at the end in terms of our play. And this year, we just want to make sure that we are, you know, moving forward instead of backwards or staying stagnant as we get into late February. I think that'll be the key for us.
Well, Coach, as always, really appreciate your time today. And again, thanks so much for stopping by. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's W&J head women's basketball coach Jina DeRubbo. Stick with us. We'll have Riley DeRubbo of W&J women's basketball join us next on the PAC Sports Network.